All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new review. And I swore I wasn't going to do it, but I watched it anyway because I wanted to make my own assessment on the show. I told you I go into everything with an open mind. And we're going to talk about the first two episodes of Star Wars The Acolyte. So, the first question I think people want to know is, was it the dumpster fire they said it was going to be? Well, not so far. Not in the first two episodes. But it doesn't mean it was actually good. Now, the marketing for this show over the last week has been horrible. You had one of the main actors who plays, I believe, Yord. He's a Jedi in the film, or in the show. He came out and doesn't even know what characters did what in any of the Star Wars movies, and he looked rather silly. And then another video just unearthed from The Wrap, where you have Leslie Headland, the director and writer, with the girl who plays Osha and May, talking about how gay the show is, and they started calling nerds gay. And it was just crazy. That whole interview that lasted about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. It's very bizarre. There's nepotism going on, as you have Leslie Headland's wife is one of the council members on the Jedi, on the Jedi Council. And yeah, we're going to talk about this here. So what's crazy about it is, first of all, there hasn't been anything egregious just yet. Although they do mention that May and Osha were born of lesbians. And, there's talk about this third episode where there's going to be some big revelation that is going to kind of ruin it for everybody. Something that is supposedly as bad as The Last Jedi was that is going to happen in the show. And if they start saying that other people have been born of the Force without having, traditional means of getting pregnant, you're going to lose a lot of the audience. It's going to be officially to that point of jumping the shark. If I could even talk today, jumping the shark. That's just where I see this being. I see the trajectory going in that direction. All right. So first of all, I went in, like I said, with an open mind. I know what people have said, but I always go into every movie or show with an open mind. And honestly, my one word to describe the first two episodes is, okay, whatever. It started out pretty good. We had Carrie-Anne Moss in there as a Jedi, and she's dead within the first 5 minutes. I think everybody knew that was coming, but they promoted her like she was going to be a big part of this. But why you would bring in somebody like that who could bring real reverence to a Jedi character and to really, really do something good for the audience, you kill that character off in the first 5 minutes. And the whole thing with this girl, the girl that we've seen in the trailers, I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, as coming out and saying, "Fight me." I was just like, when she did this at the very beginning, I was cracking up. I'm like, what the crap is this? And she doesn't do it just once in the show. She does it several times. And I'm just like, what is this? All right. First of all, the overall feel of the show is very cheap. Now, we have one Jedi Master, Jedi Saul, who is amazing. He is the one saving grace in the show. He is pretty freaking awesome. I'm glad that they cast this individual in the role. But everybody else, there's this sense of just everything being cheap. It's not, to me, it doesn't feel like Star Wars. There are a few moments where you have some feeling of Star Wars, but overall, it just feels cheap. And we're in an era that has never been explored in Star Wars in live action, which is the High Republic era, which this takes place at like 100 years before The Phantom Menace. The ships are different. They don't have X-Wings apparently yet. Coruscant is the same. We haven't seen Yoda, though. Yoda's missing for some reason. I don't know why he's not there or if they're ever going to show him. But this show is trying to stand on its own two legs, but the story itself is very juvenile. There's no substance to it. I would hope that in the first 2 episodes there would be something super compelling with what's going on, but it's not compelling. And I've seen some reviewers say that episodes 3 and 4 do get considerably better, that the first 2 were the weakest out of the 4 so far, which I hope is the case. I will be checking it out next week, but if it does do something to be, what people are claiming, and like I said, I'm going to go in with an open mind, but if it's as bad as people are saying, yeah, I'll be turning away from it entirely. And I hope that's not the case, but this whole thing with Leslie Headland doing this, this is how I feel about this. And I've given this analogy before, and for people who are not familiar with it, I said these individuals that they're putting in charge should not be in charge. It's like being a young boy, probably, 10, 12 years old. You have all your toys, your G.I. Joes, your Transformers, your Thundercats, your He-Mans. You got all these toys, and then your parents call you outside to do a chore, and when you come back in, your younger sister has hijacked all your toys, is doing tea parties with them, and, doing, like dances and stuff. I give this analogy with the Marvel's film that came out. And I give the analogy here, again, because these are just people who want to play in the sandbox but don't really care about these properties. They just don't. And they want to put their stamp on it. And the fact that she's given the keys to an era of time that has never been explored on live action, that's a dangerous combination. And if you don't have the right story to tell, it is not going to end up well. Overall, I was very blah. I would have rather had sleep than watch these first 2 episodes yesterday. But I watched them, and it was just boring. There's nothing to grip onto. The first 5 minutes was great, but like I said, then they kill off Carrie-Anne Moss. And the beginning of this was nothing other than the Matrix. That's all they did. They brought her in to have a very Matrix-esque fight. That's exactly what it felt like, and then it's over. And so it was disappointing in that regard. And I could tell you that one of the fights that they have in the first 2 episodes was already shown almost in its entirety in a clip that they've released, which I was surprised to see. And so overall, I just think the marketing is poor, the reception is poor, the writing is definitely juvenile. If you got a better writer in there to make something more compelling, I think the overall story arc might be okay, but if you get somebody in there who can write better, we would get a better product. And so I just don't think the right people are in the right positions to handle these properties, and it's showing in the execution. So if I had to rate these on 5 stars, the first 2 episodes, I'd give them a 2. It's like, what the heck? Especially with the whole, fight me. I just... that, and my gosh. Oh, and I forgot, there was fire in space, too. My gosh, we had the drops bombing in The Last Jedi, with gravity in space. We now have fire in space. Apparently, Star Wars is in a whole different galaxy that has other physics that no other galaxy has. So I almost forgot to mention that as well. So, yeah, there's just a poor execution. I'm going to continue to review it until something either really bad happens or it ends up being... I'm going to continue to go. Let's put it that way. If it gets bad, I'll stop. If it gets really bad, and I'm bracing for that. I'm hoping that's not the case because the internet has been wrong before. But this was not the dumpster fire everyone said it was. But it's not good. It's just not good. All right, guys. There's kind of my review on the first 2 episodes. We'll see what next week brings. Maybe I'll start talking about Star Wars more if things start going in a good direction. If they don't, I don't even know what the point is. All right, guys, I do appreciate all the support. We will see you on the next video.